The Nahual's Curse. On March 14, 2019, I received an email from a software engineer named David Chen. The subject line read, "I need to tell someone before I lose my mind." David claimed that 3 months earlier, while stranded in a remote village in Oaxaca, Mexico, he met a man who confessed to being a shapeshifter, a Nahual cursed by witches to kill anyone he loves. I get a lot of emails like this. I delete most of them, but David included something I couldn't ignore, a photograph. It was taken on his phone outside a bar in San Martin Tilcajete, population 847. A man in his 50s, gray hair, haunted eyes. And in the corner of the frame, barely visible, 3 women standing in the shadows, watching him. David wrote, "I didn't see them when I took the photo. But when I got back to my hotel and looked at the picture, they were there. And they were smiling." This is his story, and the confession of the man he met that night. "My name is Mateo Velasco. I'm 52 years old. And I need you to understand something before I tell you what I did. I didn't want to hurt her, but when you're cursed to lose your mind every time you transform, when the witches who made you into a monster take away the one thing that kept you human, you don't get to want anything anymore. It's 3:47 a.m., November 18th, 2018. I'm standing in an alley 2 blocks from my house, naked, covered in blood that isn't mine. My wife Elena is in that ambulance. Her blood is under my fingernails. Her screams are still echoing in my head. And the worst part, I remember everything. The witches made sure of that. Before we go further, I need to address the obvious question, is this real? I don't know. What I do know, San Martin Tilcajete is a real village. David Chen is a real person. I verified his LinkedIn, his employment at Tesla, even his car rental records showing he was in Oaxaca that week. And between 2008 and 2013-17, unsolved livestock mutilations occurred within a 12-mile radius of that village. Local police attributed them to wild animals. The case was closed. But according to Mateo's confession, they were wrong. This is what Mateo told David that night. I'm going to tell it exactly as David wrote it. No edits, no embellishments. Because some stories don't need embellishments. They're terrifying enough as they are. I'm not a superstitious person. I'm an engineer. I believe in data physics, things I can measure. So when my rental car broke down on Highway 175 between Oaxaca City and Mexico City, I wasn't thinking about ghosts or curses. I was thinking, fuck, I'm going to miss my flight. The check engine light had been on for 20 minutes. I ignored it. Big mistake. By the time I pulled over, smoke was coming from under the hood. I checked my phone. No signal. Of course. GPS showed the nearest town was 3.2 miles south, San Martin Tilcajete. I'd never heard of it. The walk took 40 minutes. It was cold. I wasn't dressed for mountain weather. No street lights. Just my phone flashlight and the sound of my own footsteps. I kept thinking, what if another car doesn't come? What if my phone dies? That's when I started to feel it, that sensation of being watched. You know that feeling. The hairs on your neck standing up, the urge to look over your shoulder. I did. 3 times. Nothing. Just darkness and trees. But the feeling didn't go away. I saw the town lights around 10:30 p.m. Relief washed over me. But as I got closer, I noticed something odd. Every house had their curtains drawn, doors closed. No one outside, even though it wasn't that late. And the dogs there were dogs everywhere. They didn't bark at me. They just watched. Silent. Like they were waiting for something. I told myself small town people go to bed early. Dogs are probably used to strangers. I didn't believe it even then. The bar was someone's living room with a folding table and 6 plastic chairs. A woman in her 60s, Senora Martinez, served Modelo and mezcal from a cooler. There were 4 other people inside, all men, all locals. They glanced at me when I entered, then went back to their drinks, except one. He sat at the far end of the table alone. 50s, prematurely gray hair hands wrapped around a glass of mezcal he wasn't drinking. What struck me most were his eyes. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in years. Not because he couldn't, because he was afraid to. I explained my situation to Senora Martinez. Car broke down, needed a mechanic. She shook her head. Mechanic comes Tuesday. Today is Thursday. You wait. Wait. 5 days? No hotel here, but I have a room upstairs. $20 a night. I had no choice. That's when the man with gray hair spoke. His voice was rough, like he didn't use it often. You should leave. I turned. Excuse me. In the morning. Walk back to the highway. Flag down a truck. Don't stay here. The other men shifted uncomfortably. One muttered something in Zapotec. Senora Martinez shot the gray-haired man a warning look. I tried to laugh it off. Why is the town haunted or something? He looked at me for a long moment. Then, something like that. I didn't take his advice. Stupid in hindsight. But I was exhausted. My phone was at 12%. I had no way to call an Uber, no way to contact anyone. I rented the room, bare mattress, one light bulb window overlooking the town square. I tried to sleep. Couldn't. Around 1 a.m. I heard something, like nails dragging slowly across wood, coming from the wall. I told myself, old building, probably rats. But rats don't make rhythmic sounds. 3 long scrapes, silence, 3 more scrapes. I got up, put my ear to the wall. The sound stopped. Then I heard breathing, on the other side of the wall. Slow, deliberate. I backed away from the wall. The breathing stopped, too. I stood there in the dark for maybe 10 minutes, waiting, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. Nothing happened. Eventually, I convinced myself I'd imagined it. Stress, exhaustion, the mezcal I'd had downstairs. I went back to bed. But I didn't sleep. The next morning, I asked Senora Martinez about the room next door. She looked at me strangely. There is no room next door. That wall it faces outside. I checked. She was right. The wall I'd heard breathing through it was an exterior wall, 3 stories up, nothing but open air on the other side. By my 3rd night, I'd given up trying to leave. The mechanic kept saying, mañana. My phone was dead. I felt trapped. I went back to Senora Martinez's bar. The gray-haired man, Mateo, I learned, was there again. Same seat, same mezcal. This time, I sat down next to him. Still here, he said. Not a question. Car's not fixed yet. He drank. You feel it yet? Feel what? The town. It's watching you, waiting. I wanted to dismiss it, but he was right. I did feel it. The way people looked at me, the way conversation stopped when I walked by, the sounds in the walls that only happened at night. I asked, what's wrong with this place? Mateo was silent for a long time. Then, it's not the town. It's me. He ordered another drink. I waited. I've lived in San Martin my entire life, he finally said. Born here, grew up here, married here, but for most of my childhood the village wanted me dead. Why? Because I could see things other people couldn't. Spirits, echoes of the dead. And in a small Catholic town that makes you the devil's child. He said it matter-of-factly, like he'd made peace with it. When I was 10, 3 witches came to the village. Told my parents they could teach me to control my gift. My parents were desperate. They let me go. And the witches lied. They didn't teach me control. They taught me how to become a weapon. Mateo's hands tightened around his glass. I noticed scars on his knuckles, old ones, like someone had repeatedly scraped them against stone. I need to start from the beginning, he said, or you won't understand why I can't leave, why I'll never be free. He took a long drink, then began. I was 8 years old when I first saw the dead. My grandmother, my father's mother, died in a house fire 10 years before I was born. I never met her. No one in my family talked about her. But one night I woke up and saw her standing at the foot of my bed. She was burned, skin blackened and cracked, hair singed away. She didn't speak, just pointed at the wall behind me. I screamed. My mother came running. I told her about the woman with the burned face. My mother went white. She described my grandmother to me before the fire, and I confirmed details I couldn't possibly have known. The mole on her left cheek, the silver bracelet she never took off. My mother thought it was a blessing, a message from beyond. The village thought otherwise. Word spread. People started coming to our house asking me to contact their dead relatives. At first, my parents allowed it. We needed the money. But then I started seeing things I wasn't supposed to see. Senor Torres asked me to contact his late wife. I told him she was there standing behind him, but she was angry. She kept saying La otra mujer, the other woman. Turns out Senor Torres had been having an affair. His wife's spirit wanted everyone to know. The village turned on us after that. They said I was speaking for demons, not spirits, that I was possessed. My parents lost work. My mother was excluded from the church women's group. Children threw rocks at me on my way to school. When I was 9, I predicted a drought. I didn't mean to. I just told my teacher that the rain had gone away and wouldn't come back for a long time. I could feel it, like the sky itself was empty. 6 months later, not a single drop of rain had fallen. The crops died, livestock died, wells ran dry, and the village blamed me. Padre Miguel, the village priest, he gave a sermon saying God was punishing the town for harboring evil among them. He didn't name me. He didn't have to. That night, someone threw a rock through our window. It had words written on it in charcoal, "Vite leave." The next night, someone hung a dead chicken from our door. Its neck was twisted backward. My father tried to protect us, but he was one man against hundreds. I remember the night he cried. I'd never seen him cry before. He told my mother, "We have to leave, or they'll kill him." My mother said, "Where do we go? We have no money, no work." I heard everything from the next room. I was 10 years old, and I knew my family was suffering because of me. I thought about killing myself, seriously considered it. If I was gone, maybe the rain would come back. Maybe my parents could have a normal life. But I was too afraid. And then the witches came. It was September 1978. A moonless night. I was lying in bed listening to my parents argue downstairs. My mother wanted to ask the church for help. My father said the church considered us enemies. Then there was a knock at the door. My father didn't want to open it at first, but the knocking continued. Steady, patient, like the person outside had all night. Finally, he opened the door. I crept to the top of the stairs, saw 3 women, not from the village. I knew every face in the village, but these 3, I'd never seen them before. The one in the middle was tall, thin, silver hair braided down to her waist. About 60 years old, but she stood straight as a sword. Eyes black as wells. The 2 beside her were identical. Twins, maybe 40 years old, sun-weathered skin hands covered in scars. The silver-haired woman spoke, her voice low and clear. "We've come for the child." My father stepped in front of the doorway. "My son isn't going anywhere. Who are you?" "I am Ishel. These are Citlali and Xochitl. We are teachers." "Teachers of what?" "We teach children like yours. Children who see what others cannot, hear what others do not. Children the world fears because it does not understand." My father's jaw tightened. "How do you know about my son?" Ishel smiled a smile without warmth. "We know about every child like him. We sense them, like lighthouses in the dark." Citlali spoke next, her voice softer. "Your son is suffering. We can teach him to control his gift, turn it into something powerful instead of something frightening." Xochitl added, "Or you can leave him here and watch this village kill him. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but they will kill him." I saw my parents' faces, the pain, the desperation. They knew these women were telling the truth. My father asked, "How long is Shell?" "A few years." "Until he's strong enough to protect himself," my mother. "And we'll see him again, Ickle, when he's ready." A lie. But my parents didn't know that then. My father looked at my mother. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. My father called up the stairs, "Mateo, come down here, son." I walked down slowly. The 3 women watched me. Ishel knelt to my eye level, smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "Mateo, do you want to learn how to be strong?" I looked at my parents. They nodded encouragingly. I said, "Yes." "Ishel, good, then come with us." No luggage, no prolonged goodbyes, just my parents hugging me, my mother whispering, "Be good, mijijo. We'll see you again soon." I walked out the door. It started to rain, the first drops in 9 months. And I knew the village would think the cursed child is gone. God has forgiven us. I didn't look back, because I knew if I did, I'd run home, and then everything would start over again. I was 10 years old. And I was walking into darkness with 3 strangers. I didn't know that was the last night I'd be a child, or a human being. As Mateo talked, I noticed something. The other patrons had left, one by one, without saying goodbye, like they knew to leave before he got to the dark parts. Senora Martinez kept glancing at the window, nervous. And outside, I'm not making this up, the dogs started howling, all of them, at the same time. Mateo didn't react, like he was used to it. I asked, "Does that happen a lot?" "Every time I talk about them," he said. "Them, the witches, they're still here, watching." He looked directly at me then. His eyes caught the light in a strange way. For just a second, I could have sworn I saw a flash of red in them. "I'm going to tell you what they did to me, what they made me. But first you need to understand something." He leaned closer. "When I was 10 years old, I walked into those mountains as a scared little boy. When I came back 9 years later, I wasn't human anymore. The light bulb above us exploded. We sat in darkness. And I swear I heard 3 women laughing. Outside, in the dark. We walked for hours that first night. No flashlights, no trail. Just the 3 witches moving through darkness like they could see perfectly, and me stumbling behind them, trying not to fall. Ischel led. The twins flanked me on either side, not guiding, guarding. I asked where we were going. Ischel didn't answer. I asked if we were far. Citlali put her hand on my shoulder. "Stop talking, listen." I listened. The forest was alive with sounds I'd never noticed before, not just crickets and wind. Underneath that, something else, whispers, movement, things watching us pass. So Chitl leaned close. "You hear them now, don't you, the spirits? They're everywhere. You just needed to stop ignoring them." I wanted to go home. We reached the camp around dawn. Hidden deep in a canyon surrounded by rock walls covered in symbols I didn't recognize. There were structures, not quite buildings, more like lean-tos made from branches and animal hides. A fire pit in the center. And people. Maybe 15 of them, men and women, different ages. All of them looked at me the same way, like they knew exactly what I was. Ischel stopped at the fire pit, turned to face me. "This is your home now. You'll learn here, sleep here, grow here. And when you're ready, you'll leave here as something your village has never seen before." I didn't understand what she meant then. I would. The first weeks were almost normal. Almost. They taught me about herbs. Which ones healed, which ones poisoned, which ones opened your mind to see beyond the physical world. I learned to identify plants by smell alone, by the way they made my skin tingle when I touched them. Citlali showed me how to read signs in nature, the way birds flew before a storm. The pattern of animal tracks that meant a predator was near, how to find water by watching where insects gathered at dusk. So Chitl taught me about dreams, how to remember them, how to control them, how to walk through them like rooms in a house. I thought, this isn't so bad, this is useful. This will help me when I go home. But Ischel's lessons were different. She taught me in the deep hours of night when everyone else was asleep, just the 2 of us by the dying fire. "You see the dead," she said the first night. "But you don't understand what you're seeing. The dead aren't just echoes. They're anchored to this world by unfinished business, pain, rage, love that won't let go." She drew symbols in the dirt with a stick. "Every spirit has power, and power can be used. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" I said I didn't. She smiled. "You will." The lessons escalated slowly. So slowly I didn't notice the line we were crossing until we were already on the other side. Ischel taught me to call spirits, not just see them, summon them. She'd give me a name, a person who died, and I'd reach out into that space between worlds and pull. The first time I did it successfully, I was 11 years old. The spirit was an old woman who died in the village 20 years before. Ishel made me ask her questions. Where did you hide your money? Who did you love? Who did you hate? The spirit answered. Her voice came through me. Using my mouth, I felt her inside my head, her memories, her emotions, her rage at dying before she could tell her daughter the truth about her father. When Ishel released her, I vomited for 20 minutes. Good, Ishel said. You're learning. By the time I was 12, I could summon any spirit Ishel named. By 13, I could hold multiple spirits at once, let them speak through me in succession, like I was a radio changing stations. The other students watched me with a mixture of awe and fear. But I wasn't special. Not yet. That came later. The training intensified after my 13th birthday. Ishel began teaching me things that made my stomach turn. How to use a person's hair or blood to bind them. How to make someone sick by speaking the right words over their photograph. How to craft a curse that would follow someone through generations. I asked why I needed to know this. Ishel's response, because the world is cruel, and the only way to survive cruelty is to become something more cruel than it is. I didn't want to learn these things, but when I refused, they locked me in a stone chamber they called the silence room. No light, no sound. Just darkness and the feeling of walls pressing closer. They left me there for 3 days the first time. When they let me out, I agreed to continue the lessons. The other students told me stories while we worked, about what happened to children who tried to run away. About the boy who'd refused to complete a ritual and was found dead the next morning, his body covered in marks like he'd been clawed by invisible hands. I learned quickly obedience was survival. But part of me, a part I'm ashamed of now, part of me liked the power. I could make things happen. I could reach into the world and bend it. The village that had rejected me, the children who'd thrown rocks, the priest who'd called me evil, I had power they couldn't imagine. Ishel knew. She cultivated that feeling, fed it. They hurt you, she'd whisper. They made you suffer, made your parents suffer. Don't you want them to pay for that? I did. God help me, I did. 3 months before my 14th birthday, Ishel came to me in the night. It's time, she said. Time for what? To become what you were always meant to be. She led me deeper into the canyon than I'd ever gone, to a cave mouth hidden behind a waterfall. Inside, Citlali and Xochitl were waiting. And in the center of the cave, a circle drawn in what looked like dried blood. Sit, Ishel commanded. I sat in the center of the circle. The 3 witches began to chant, words in a language I didn't know. Old, older than Spanish, older than Zapotec, something that felt like it came from the bones of the earth itself. The temperature dropped. My breath came out in clouds. Ishel cut her palm with a stone knife, let the blood drip into a silver cup. Citlali did the same, then Xochitl. They mixed the blood together, added something that looked like ash, something that moved like it was alive. Ishel held the cup to my lips. Drink, I hesitated. Drink, or everything you've learned means nothing. Drink, or you'll never be strong enough to face them. Drink, or you'll always be that scared little boy they chased out of town. I drank. It tasted like copper and rot and something else, something that burned going down. My stomach immediately rebelled. I tried to vomit, but Citlali held my jaw shut. Keep it down. You have to keep it down. The chanting grew louder. I felt something moving under my skin, like worms, like my veins were crawling. Don't fight it, Xochitl said. Let it in. The cave walls started to breathe. The shadows detached from the stone and moved independently. I could see them, actually see them. Entities that existed in the space between light and dark, things that had never been human, things that fed on fear and pain and the souls of the dying. One of them came closer. It had too many limbs, too many eyes. It reached for me with appendages that weren't quite solid. I screamed. Ishel grabbed my face. Look at me, look at me. You want power, this is the price. You want to make them pay, this is how. You want to never be afraid again, then let it happen. The entity touched me. I felt it enter through my chest, cold, so cold it burned. It spread through my body like ice water through veins. My heart stuttered, my lungs seized. I was dying, I knew I was dying, and then something changed. My body accepted it, absorbed it. The cold became warmth. The pain became strength. I could feel every living thing in the cave, the witches' heartbeats, the bats in the upper chamber, the insects in the dirt, the trees outside growing toward the sun. I could feel the earth turning beneath me, but more than that, I could feel the boundary between human and animal dissolving. "Now," Ishel said, "show us what you are." My bones began to crack, not breaking, reshaping. My jaw extended. I felt teeth pushing through my gums, not replacing my human teeth growing alongside them. Fangs, long and curved and sharp enough to tear through hide. My spine elongated, vertebrae popping into place one by one. A tail. I was growing a tail. My hands hit the ground, fingers extending into claws that scraped against stone. Fur erupted through my skin, black, so black it seemed to absorb light. I tried to scream, but what came out was a roar. The witches stepped back. I looked down at myself, at paws where my hands had been, at a body that was no longer human. I was massive, easily twice the size of any wolf. My vision had changed colors, shifted into shades of red and gray, but I could see in the darkness like it was noon. I could smell everything. The witches' fear under their excitement, the small animals outside the cave trying to hide, the deer 3 miles away, and I was hungry, so hungry. "Not yet," Ishel said. She held up a hand. I felt compelled to stop, to wait. First you learn control, then you hunt. They kept me in that form for hours, teaching me to move, to use claws and jaws, to track by scent, to run on 4 legs until it felt as natural as walking upright. When dawn came, Ishel finally allowed me to change back. The transformation in reverse was even worse. Bones snapping back into human shape. Fur retreating into skin that felt raw and oversensitive. Claws shrinking into fingernails. I collapsed, naked, covered in sweat and blood from where my skin had split and healed. Ishel knelt beside me. "You are Nahual now, one of the last, one of the most powerful. Do you understand what you are?" I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. "You are the thing children's nightmares are made of. You are the reason people lock their doors at night. You are the shadow that moves wrong, the growl in the dark, the answer to the question, what if monsters are real?" She stroked my hair almost tenderly. "And you belong to us." The next 4 years they perfected me. I learned to transform at will, learned to control the beast's hunger, learned to hunt to kill, to make it look like accidents or animal attacks. They sent me out at night, gave me targets, tested me. That farmer stole from his neighbor, make him pay. That merchant cheats widows, make him stop. At first I balked. These weren't evil people, not really, just flawed, human. But the witches reminded me, they're not different from the people who hurt you. They're exactly the same. They would hurt you too, given the chance. So I hurt them first. I told myself I was delivering justice, that I was protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. But the truth was simpler and darker. I liked it. I liked the power, the fear in people's eyes when they realized something was hunting them, the way the beast's instincts felt clean and simple compared to human guilt and shame. By the time I was 17, I'd killed 32 times. Not people, never people. The witches were careful about that. Animals mostly, livestock, pets. Once a black bear that had been terrorizing a village. But they were preparing me for something bigger. "Your village," Ishel said one night. "The people who cast you out. Don't you want them to know what you've become?" I did. God help me, I did. "When you're 19, she said, you'll return, not as the scared child they rejected, as the monster they were right to fear. 2 years, 2 more years of training, of perfecting the transformation, of learning to hold human form even when the beast raged inside. They taught me how to blend in, how to act normal during the day while planning my hunts at night, how to misdirect suspicion, how to leave no evidence." David interrupted Mateo there. His voice was hoarse. You're telling me you were a trained killer at 19 years old? Mateo looked at him steadily. I'm telling you I was a weapon, aimed at anyone the witches chose, and they aimed me at my home. Outside, the dogs had gone completely silent. The kind of silence that feels wrong, too complete. David glanced at the window. For just a second he saw them, 3 silhouettes standing in the town square, watching the bar. When he blinked, they were gone. Mateo saw his expression, nodded. They're always watching, making sure I don't say too much, making sure I remember who I belong to. He drained his mezcal, signaled Senora Martinez for another. She brought it without a word, her hands shaking as she set it down. You want to know the worst part? Mateo continued. I was excited. I spent those last 2 years fantasizing about going home, about showing them what I'd become, making them regret everything they'd done to me. He stared into his drink. I thought revenge would feel good. I thought it would heal something broken inside me. Did it? Mateo's laugh was bitter. Revenge doesn't heal anything. It just creates more wounds. But I didn't learn that until it was too late. The year I turned 19, Ishel declared me ready. They held a ceremony. All the students gathered. The witches spoke words of power over me, binding me to them permanently. Or so they claimed. You will return to San Martin Tilcajete, Ishel commanded. You will remind them why they should fear the dark. You will make them understand that some children, when rejected, don't die. They transform into the very thing that haunts their nightmares. She gave me specific instructions. Who to target first, how to escalate, how to make the entire village understand they were being punished. But remember, she added, eyes boring into mine, you are ours. Your power comes from us. If you betray us, if you try to use this gift for anything other than what we command, there will be consequences. I didn't ask what kind of consequences. I should have. I walked out of those mountains on a cool October morning in 1987. 9 years since I'd left. 9 years since I'd been human. The village had changed. New buildings, paved roads. But the faces were the same. Older, more weathered. But the same people who'd called me cursed. When I walked into the town square, people stared. Some didn't recognize me, but the older ones did. I could see it in their eyes. The boy who'd been driven out returned. My father was dead. Heart attack 3 years before. My mother had died 6 months after I left. They told me it was pneumonia, but I knew better. She died of grief. Our old house was occupied by strangers now. Everything my family owned gone. That's when the rage really took hold. These people hadn't just rejected me. They'd killed my parents, slowly, through isolation and cruelty and broken hearts. And now I had the power to make them pay. The first attack came 3 nights after my return, during the full moon. I'd been watching Senor Torres, the man who'd accused me of speaking for demons. He was older now, weaker, still self-righteous. He was checking his cattle when I appeared. The beast was 8 feet tall on hind legs, fur black as midnight, eyes that reflected red in the lantern light, claws that could disembowel with a single swipe. Senor Torres saw me, dropped his lantern, tried to run. I let him get almost to his gate before I caught him. I didn't kill him. That would have been too quick. Instead, I shredded his clothes, clawed deep grooves across his back, bit his shoulder hard enough to crack the bone. Then I left him there, alive, screaming, so he could tell the others what he'd seen. Word spread like wildfire. A demon, a monster, the devil himself walking among them. They organized hunting parties, brought guns, set traps. I avoided them easily. During the day, I was just another villager. They looked right through me. At night, I was unstoppable. I targeted them systematically. The priest who'd condemned me, the teacher who'd ignored me, the children, now adults, who'd thrown rocks, their parents who'd encouraged it. Never fatal, always brutal, always memorable. The village lived in terror. People stopped going out after dark. They barricaded their doors, painted crosses on their thresholds. It didn't help, and I felt nothing but satisfaction. Until the night I saw her. Elena Ruiz had come to San Martin to teach at the new school, from a town 50 miles away. She didn't know my history, didn't know the stories. She just saw a quiet man who kept to himself, who sometimes helped her carry supplies, who made her laugh. For the first time since the witches took me, I felt something other than anger. I felt hope. David leaned forward. His recorder was running, but he'd almost forgotten about it. She didn't know what you were, Mateo shook his head. How could she? I was careful. I only transformed far from home, and I started to change. Being around her, I wanted to be human again, really human, not just pretending. The attack stopped. For 8 months, complete silence. The village thought maybe the demon had moved on. Or maybe their prayers had finally worked. Mateo's expression softened for the first time since he'd started talking. Elena made me believe I could be saved. That love was stronger than curses, that I could choose to be something other than what the witches made me. You married her? Yes, small ceremony. Just us and a few witnesses. She wore a white dress her mother had made. She was so beautiful it hurt to look at her. Mateo's voice cracked slightly. Our wedding night was the happiest moment of my life. I thought this is it. This is how the story ends. The monster finds love and becomes human again. He looked directly at David. I was wrong. Monsters don't get happy endings. The witches made sure of that. Outside, a wind picked up. The dogs began howling again. All of them. A chorus of warning that made David's skin crawl. Mateo glanced at the window, then back to David. They came for me that night. Right out of my wedding bed. Pulled me back to their camp while Elena slept. And they cursed you. Not just cursed. They changed the rules. Before, when I transformed, I'd black out. The beast would take over and I wouldn't remember. It was almost like it wasn't me doing those things. His hands were trembling now. But after the curse, I stay conscious. I feel everything, see everything. I'm trapped inside my own body while the beast does whatever it wants. And the beast only wants one thing, to kill. To kill whoever is closest, whoever I love most. Mateo finished his drink. They sent me back to Elena, told me to wait, that the curse would activate the next time I transformed, and I'd be forced to watch myself destroy the only good thing in my life. David felt cold despite the warm night. What did you do? I tried not to transform. For 2 years I fought it. Elena got pregnant. We had a son, Diego, beautiful boy, perfect. Mateo's voice broke completely now. I thought I could resist forever. That love would be enough, that I could protect them by simply refusing to become the beast. But you couldn't. No. Because the beast isn't something separate from me. It's part of me. And you can only suppress part of yourself for so long before it erupts. He looked at David with eyes that held decades of pain. 3 months ago, cattle thieves hit the village, took everything we had. I got angry, really angry, and I thought just this once I'll transform. Chase them off, be back before dawn. You transformed. And the beast didn't chase the thieves. It caught Elena's scent, my wife, the person I loved most in the world. Mateo stood up abruptly. The chair scraped against the floor. I need you to understand something. When I tell you what happened next, I need you to understand that I tried to stop it. I screamed inside my own head. I fought with everything I had. But you couldn't stop it. No, because that's the curse. That's what the witches wanted. For me to be completely aware, completely powerless, while my own body destroyed everything I loved. Elena was 8 months pregnant with our second child. Diego was 3 years old, perfect child, smiled at everything, loved everyone. He didn't know his father was a monster. That night I came home and Elena was crying. Not because of the cows, because she'd seen Diego trying to give his toy to the baby growing in her belly, telling his unborn sister she could have it because we share everything. She was crying because she was so happy, so grateful for our life. And I felt the rage building, not at her, never at her, at the thieves, at the unfairness, at everything. But more than that, I felt the beast stirring. I'd kept it locked down for 2 years, 2 years of feeling it scratch at the inside of my skull. 2 years of tasting blood in my mouth when I got angry, 2 years of fighting my own nature. and I was tired of fighting. I told Elena I was going for a walk, to clear my head. She kissed me, told me to come back soon. Diego hugged my leg. Love you, Papa. I walked out of my house thinking just this once. Just let the beast out for 1 hour, chase off the thieves, make them afraid, then come home and never transform again. I was a fool. I walked to the edge of town, to the old grazing fields where I knew the beast could emerge without being seen, and I let go. The transformation came faster than it ever had before, like the beast had been waiting, coiled, ready, bones cracking, spine extending, jaw unhinging, fur erupting through skin like black fire. It hurt, it always hurt. But this time there was something different. I stayed aware. I'd always blacked out before. The beast would take over and I'd wake up hours later confused, remembering nothing. But this time I remained conscious, trapped behind my own eyes like a passenger, able to see, to feel, to scream internally, but unable to control anything. The curse, the witch's curse, and I knew, God help me, I knew exactly what was about to happen. The beast stood on its hind legs, 8 feet tall, muscles like corded steel under midnight fur. It threw back its head and roared. Every dog in the village started howling. Then it caught a scent. Familiar, beloved. Elena. No, 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 no. I screamed inside my own head. Tried to force my human consciousness back into control. Tried to make the beast turn around, run the other direction, anything. The beast ignored me. It dropped to all fours and ran, faster than any natural animal, 30 miles per hour, 40. The world blurred into shades of red and gray. I could smell her. Lavender soap, the cream she used on her hands, the baby inside her, Diego, all of them, my family, the beast's favorite prey. Stop, please stop, that's my wife, that's my son. Please? The beast didn't care. The beast only knew hunger, only knew the scent of vulnerable prey. It reached our house in less than 3 minutes. Elena was outside. She'd heard the dogs howling and stepped onto the porch with a lantern. Diego was inside, visible through the window, playing with wooden blocks. She saw the beast. Her face went through so many expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, fear, recognition. Because deep down, some part of her knew. She'd always known. Mateo, she whispered. The beast charged. Elena screamed, dropped the lantern, tried to run back inside, too slow. The beast caught her in 3 strides, knocked her down. She landed hard on her pregnant belly, and I felt her pain like it was my own. Get off her, please, I'm begging you. She's pregnant, she's carrying our child. The beast didn't listen. It never listened. Claws raked across her shoulder, through fabric, through skin, down to muscle. Elena's scream cut through the night like a knife. The beast's jaws opened, teeth designed to tear through hide and bone, inches from her throat. I could taste her, smell her blood. Feel her heartbeat through the beast's paws, pinning her down. And I couldn't stop it. Neighbors were shouting, lights coming on, Diego crying inside the house, the beast's head turned toward the crying. New prey, smaller, easier. No, not him, please not him. Take me, kill me, but not my son. The beast released Elena, started toward the house. That's when Elena did something I'll never understand, something that saved our son's life. She grabbed a piece of broken lantern glass, stabbed it into the beast's hind leg. The beast roared, turned back to her. She was trying to stand, blood soaking through her dress, her shoulder torn open, 8 months pregnant and trying to stand between a monster and her child. Run, she gasped at the neighbors who were finally arriving. Get Diego, run! The beast hit her again, harder this time. I felt her ribs crack under its weight, felt her breath leave her lungs in a rush. Felt the baby inside her kick frantically, distressed by its mother's pain. The beast's jaws closed on her arm, bit down. I felt her bones snap like a dry twig, and I couldn't do anything but watch, feel, experience every second of it. "This is what you wanted," a voice whispered, the witch's voice, all three of them speaking as one inside my head. You wanted power, you wanted revenge, you wanted to be the monster they feared. This is what monsters do. They destroy everything they love. Someone shot at the beast, missed. The bullet sparked off the cobblestones. The beast finally released Elena. She wasn't moving anymore, just breathing, shallow, rapid, going into shock. The beast could have finished her, should have. That's what it wanted. But dawn was coming. I could feel it. The sun creeping toward the horizon. The beast turned and ran, left Elena lying in a pool of blood, left my son screaming inside the house, left my neighbors staring in horror at what I'd done. The transformation back happened in an alley 6 blocks away, bones snapping into human configuration, fur retreating into skin, claws shrinking into fingernails. I came back to myself naked, covered in Elena's blood, able to taste her in my mouth, and I remembered everything, every second, every detail, every scream. The witches had made sure of that. I vomited until there was nothing left. Then I vomited bile. Then I just dry heaved while my body shook. I could hear sirens, ambulance. The village had phones now, modern equipment. They were taking her to the hospital in Oaxaca City, 40 miles away. She might not survive the trip. I staggered home, found clothes someone had left on a line, stole them. By the time I reached the hospital, Elena was in surgery. The doctors said she'd lost a lot of blood. The baby was in distress. They might have to deliver early. Her arm was shattered, her shoulder torn, 3 ribs broken. One had punctured her lung. Diego was with Elena's sister, safe, terrified, but safe. I sat in the waiting room for 8 hours. Other villagers were there. They looked at me with suspicion but said nothing. They didn't know, couldn't prove anything. But they suspected. Elena survived. The baby survived. They delivered our daughter 6 weeks early, but she was healthy, perfect. Elena's injuries healed, mostly. She has scars. Deep ones across her shoulder and arm. She can't lift anything heavy anymore. But the worst injury isn't physical. It's the way she looks at me sometimes, when she thinks I'm not watching. She knows. She doesn't know. I never told her. How could I? But some part of her deep down recognizes me, recognizes the beast. We told everyone it was a wild animal, a jaguar or a large dog gone feral. The doctors accepted it because what else could it be? But Elena knows the truth, even if she can't admit it to herself. She flinches when I touch her unexpectedly. She won't let me be alone with the children after dark. She locks our bedroom door from the inside at night. Says it makes her feel safe. Safe from what she never says. And I let her lock the door because she's right to be afraid. Mateo stopped talking. His cigarette had burned down to nothing. He lit another one. David sat frozen. He'd stopped taking notes halfway through. Some stories are too horrible to write down. "You haven't transformed since that night," David said quietly. "No, and I never will again. But the curse is still there. The curse will always be there. The witches made sure of that. Every day I feel it. The beast pacing inside me like a caged animal, getting hungrier, more desperate. What happens if you never transform again? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe the beast will eventually consume me from the inside. Maybe I'll go insane. Maybe my body will just give out." Mateo looked at his hands, scarred, calloused. Hands that had torn his wife's flesh. "But I'd rather die slowly than risk hurting them again. That's my choice, my penance. And the witches. They're always here, watching, waiting, hoping I'll break, hoping I'll transform just one more time so they can feed on the power, because that's what they do. They create Nahuales and feed on the destruction we cause." He gestured toward the darkness beyond the streetlights. "Right now they're out there, listening to me tell you this, angry that I'm breaking their rules, but also amused, because they know the truth." "What truth?" "That telling you changes nothing. I'm still cursed, still trapped. Still fighting a battle I can't win. And you'll go back to California with this story and wonder if it was real or if you met a crazy old man in a Mexican village." I believe you. Do you? Or do you just want to believe? Because believing means accepting that monsters are real. that curses can't be broken, that some people are damned no matter how hard they try to be good. David didn't have an answer for that. Mateo stood up. "Your car is fixed. You can leave tomorrow morning." "I suggest you do. The longer you stay, the more interested the witches become in you. And trust me, you don't want their attention. What about you? What will you do?" "What I do every day. Work, come home, play with my children, kiss my wife goodnight, lock myself in the basement when the urge to transform gets too strong, and pray that I can hold out one more day. That's not living, that's just surviving. For men like me, there's no difference." Mateo started to walk away, then stopped. "David, one more thing." "Yes. After tonight, destroy whatever recording you made, delete any notes, forget my name, forget this village, because if you try to help me, if you try to find someone to break the curse, the witches will know, and they'll kill you for interfering." "How do you know?" "Because they've killed others who tried. Elena's priest came to our house last year, said he could perform an exorcism. 3 days later he drove off a cliff. Accident, they said. But I saw the marks on his car door, claw marks, deep ones. David felt ice in his stomach. "Go home," Mateo said. "Live your life. This isn't your burden to carry." He walked into the darkness. David sat alone on the bench for a long time. When he finally stood to leave, he noticed something in the dirt at his feet, fresh gouges in the packed earth. 3 parallel lines, right where he'd been sitting. They'd been there the whole time, watching, listening, waiting. I should have left the next morning. That was the plan. Get in my car, drive to the airport, fly home, forget everything. But I couldn't, because when I got back to my room that night, I found something on my pillow. A photograph. Old, faded, from the 1970s, based on the colors and quality. It showed a young boy, maybe 8 years old, standing with his parents in front of a small house. The boy looked scared. The parents looked defeated. On the back, written in careful script, 1978, the last photograph of us together before they took me. Mateo had left this for me. Why, as a reminder, a warning. A plea for help he couldn't voice out loud. I turned the photo over again, studied the boy's face, tried to see the monster in those frightened eyes. I couldn't. All I saw was a child who'd been failed by everyone who should have protected him. That's when I made my decision. I was going to help him. I didn't know how. I didn't know if it was even possible. But I had to try. I spent that night researching on Senor Martinez's old computer, searching for information about Nahual curses, about Oaxacan witchcraft, about any recorded case of someone breaking free. Most of what I found was useless. Tourist websites. Folklore collections written by anthropologists who'd never experienced real magic. But then I found something. A forum buried deep in the strange corners of the internet, people discussing genuine encounters with supernatural entities. One thread, surviving a Nahual encounter. The poster username disappeared mid-thread described an experience nearly identical to Mateo's. 3 witches, transformation curse, loss of control. I sent a private message to the last person who'd replied in the thread, asked if they knew anything about breaking the curse. The response came 3 hours later. "Don't. The curse you're describing is bound with blood magic. Breaking it requires the witch's consent, the victim's death, or a willing replacement. There's no other way. If you try to interfere, you become part of it." I wrote back, "What if there's someone willing to replace him? Would that work?" Long pause. Then, "Theoretically, yes, but the witches would have to accept the trade." "And why would they have a fully trained Nahual? Why would they trade that for someone untrained?" I thought about that. The person was right. Mateo was valuable to them. Decades of training, decades of feeding their power. But me, I was nobody. Untrained, unconnected to their world. Unless I made myself valuable somehow. I was about to reply when the computer screen flickered. Lines appeared across the display, not text, scratches, like something was dragging claws across the inside of the screen. The computer shut down. When it restarted, there was a new message in my browser, from an email address I didn't recognize. We're watching you, David Chen. Stop asking questions or join him in his suffering. I slammed the laptop shut, backed away from it. My hands were shaking. They knew my name. They were monitoring my searches. They were warning me. I should have been terrified. I was. But I was also angry. These creatures, these witches, had been destroying lives for decades, maybe centuries, creating monsters, feeding on suffering, and no one stopped them because everyone was too afraid. Well, I was afraid too, but I was also tired of people like Mateo suffering in silence while predators like the witches continued hunting. Someone had to stand up to them. I guess that someone was going to be me. The next morning I didn't leave. I went looking for Mateo instead. Found him at his house, a small place on the edge of town. I could hear children's laughter inside, see laundry hanging in the yard, signs of a normal family life, except for the heavy padlock on the basement door. Mateo answered when I knocked. His face fell when he saw me. I told you to leave. I know, I can't. David, I found something. About the curse. About how to break it. He pulled me inside quickly, looked around to make sure no one had seen. Are you insane? They're listening. They're always listening. Let them listen. I don't care anymore. Mateo's wife, Elena, appeared in the doorway. She was beautiful despite the scars visible on her shoulder. She looked at me with suspicious eyes. Who's this? The American whose car broke down. He's leaving today. Am I looked at Mateo. Or am I staying to help you? You can't help me. No one can. But what if I could? What if there was a way to transfer the curse to trade places with you? Elena's hand went to her mouth. Transfer, you mean? I mean, I take it. I become what he is, and he goes free. Mateo grabbed my arm hard. You don't know what you're offering. You don't understand what this curse means, what it does to you. Then explain it to me. I did, last night. You heard everything. I heard about the attacks, the violence, the guilt. But I'm not married. I don't have kids. The curse would hurt fewer people if I carried it. That's what you think now. But give it time. You'll meet someone, fall in love, have a family, and then you'll be exactly where I am, trapped, desperate, knowing that the people you love are only safe if you stay away from them. Elena was crying now. Is this real? Can he actually do this? Mateo looked at her, then at me, then at the floor. The witches would have to agree, and they won't. I'm valuable to them, trained, controlled. You're nothing to them. Then I'll make myself valuable. I'll learn what you learned. I'll train like you trained. I'll give them a reason to want me instead of you. You'd have to go with them, to the camp, for years, and there's no guarantee they'd ever let you come back. I know. And even if they did accept the trade, even if they transferred the curse to you, there's no guarantee they'd actually release me. They might just keep us both. I hadn't thought of that. Mateo saw it in my face. You're trying to save me. I understand. But you can't negotiate with predators. They don't trade fairly. They take everything and give nothing back. So what's the alternative? You just keep suffering, keep fighting this thing until it destroys you. Yes, that's exactly what I do, because the alternative is worse. How is freedom worse? Because I don't deserve freedom, Mateo shouted. I attacked my wife, I almost killed my son, I've terrorized villages, murdered animals, hurt dozens of people. I'm a monster, David, and monsters don't get happy endings. Silence. Elena was sobbing quietly. Their children had stopped playing in the other room. Mateo took a shaky breath. Go home, please. Forget about me. Live your life. Don't throw it away on someone who can't be saved. Everyone can be saved. Not me. The witches made sure of that. I left his house that day feeling defeated. Maybe Mateo was right. Maybe some curses couldn't be broken. Maybe some people were beyond help. But as I walked back to Senora Martinez's place, I noticed something. 3 women standing in the town square. They weren't hiding anymore, weren't watching from shadows. They were waiting, in plain sight, for me. I could have run, should have run, but what would that accomplish? They knew where I lived, knew my family, knew everything about me. Running wouldn't save me. So I walked toward them instead. Up close, they were exactly as Mateo had described. Ishel in the center, ancient eyes like black wells, the twins flanking her, identical, scarred, smiling. "David Chen," Ishel said. Her voice was strange, like three voices speaking in harmony. "You've been asking dangerous questions. I want to make a deal." "We don't make deals." "Then what do you want?" "Why are you here?" Citlali smiled. "We're here to deliver a message." To Mateo about his wife. Xochitl continued. "She's pregnant again. Doesn't know yet. But we do." My blood went cold. Ishel leaned closer. "Tell him." "Tell him that if he transforms even once before that child is born, we'll make sure the beast targets the baby first. Newborns are so fragile, so easy to break. You're monsters. We're teachers. We teach lessons. And Mateo's lesson is this: love is weakness. Family is a cage, and monsters belong to us. Let him go, please. He's suffered enough." "Suffered?" Ishel laughed. "He hasn't even begun to suffer. We gave him 9 years of training, 19 years of freedom, 2 years of happiness with his family, and he repays us by refusing to use the gift we gave him. It's not a gift, it's a curse. It's both. And he owes us. He'll pay that debt one way or another." Citlali stepped closer. "You want to help him fine. Here's how. Convince him to transform, just once. Let the beast out. Let it hunt. Let us feed on that beautiful moment when control shatters and violence emerges. Do that," Xochitl said, "and we'll consider releasing him, maybe." "And if I don't?" All three spoke in unison. "Then we'll visit your family, your mother in San Jose, your sister in Oakland, your nephew who just started 3rd grade. We'll make them suffer, slowly. And you'll watch, just like Mateo watched himself attack his wife." They stepped back. "You have until the next full moon, 28 days. Convince Mateo to transform, or everyone you love pays the price." Ishel smiled. "Choose wisely, David Chen." They turned and walked away, disappeared into the gathering darkness. And I stood there in the town square realizing I'd made a terrible mistake. I'd tried to help, and instead I'd made everything worse. That night I called my mother. "David, where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for days." "I'm sorry, Mom. Car trouble, no service. What's wrong?" "It's your sister. She was in a car accident." My heart stopped. "When?" "2 days ago. She's okay, thank God, but David, the car flipped 3 times. The police said it's a miracle she survived." "Was anyone else hurt?" "No, she was alone. But the strange thing, the police found marks on the outside of the car like something tried to claw its way in." I closed my eyes. "David, are you there?" "I'm here, Mom. I'm coming home tonight. I'll be there tomorrow." "Okay, good. I love you. I love you too." I hung up. They'd already started. The witches. They'd gone after my sister as a warning. And they'd let her live so I'd know they could reach anyone, anytime. I packed my bag, left money for Senora Martinez, wrote a note to Mateo explaining what happened. Then I drove straight to the airport, abandoned the rental car, bought the first flight to San Jose, and spent the entire flight trying to figure out how to protect my family from creatures that could reach across borders and hurt anyone I cared about. I couldn't. There was no protection, no escape, no safety. The witches had made that clear. I was part of their game now, whether I wanted to be or not. For 3 months I tried to forget, tried to convince myself it had all been stress, exhaustion, maybe some kind of shared delusion brought on by too little sleep and too much mezcal. But the evidence kept mounting. My sister's car accident, the claw marks no one could explain, the sounds in my apartment at night, scraping like something dragging nails across my walls, the feeling of being watched, always, everywhere, and the dreams, God, the dreams, every night the same vision. 3 women standing at the foot of my bed watching me sleep, whispering in that strange harmonized voice. 28 days, David Chen, then we come for everyone you love. I woke up screaming more nights than not, started sleeping with the lights on, started drinking to quiet the fear. Nothing helped. By March, I was falling apart, losing weight, missing work. My boss suggested I take medical leave. My family thought I was having a breakdown. They were right, but not the kind they imagined. March 14, 2019. 3 months to the day since I left San Martin Tilcajete. I woke up to find marks on my apartment door, fresh gouges in the wood, 3 parallel lines, deep enough to splinter the door frame. They'd been here, in my building, outside my apartment, while I slept. That's when I knew I had to tell someone. Had to share the burden before it crushed me completely. I wrote everything down, every detail, every conversation, every warning. And I sent it to Tomas Rivera, a horror blogger I'd been following for years. Someone who might believe me, someone who might be able to help, or at least someone who would remember the story if I disappeared. I hit send. Then I sat in my apartment waiting. For what, I wasn't sure. A response, a rescue. The witches to finally come and finish what they'd started. 3 days later, I got my answer. I woke up somewhere else. Not my apartment, not anywhere I recognized. A stone room, no windows, a single candle providing light, and standing in front of me Ixchel Chitlali and Xochitl. "Hello, David," they said in unison. "We thought we'd save you the trouble of deciding. Where am I? Somewhere very old, somewhere very far from anyone who might help you." Ixchel circled me slowly. "You told our story, you broke our rule, you tried to expose us. So now you get to join us, become part of our collection." I tried to run. The door was locked. The walls were solid stone. No escape. "You wanted to help Mateo," Chitlali said. "Now you'll understand exactly what he is, what he suffers, what he fights every moment of every day." They began to chant, the same words Mateo had described. Ancient, terrible. I felt something shift in the room. The temperature dropped. Shadows moved independently. "No," I whispered. "Please, I'll do anything. I'll leave. I'll forget. Too late," Xochitl said. "You're ours now." They cut their palms, mixed their blood in a silver cup, forced me to drink. And the transformation began. "I need to end this recording now. I don't have much time left. The full moon is in 4 hours, and I can already feel it starting. The beast, inside me, hungry. If you're hearing this, Tomas, it means my automatic upload worked. It means I'm gone. Don't come looking for me. Don't try to help. Don't make the same mistakes I did. The witches are real. The curse is real. And once you know too much, they make you part of it. I can feel my bones starting to ache, my skin itching, the beast waking up. They told me the first transformation is the worst, that I'll remember everything, that I'll be conscious while the beast uses my body to hunt and kill, just like Mateo. Except I don't have anyone I love here, no wife to attack, no children to terrorize. So they're going to send me somewhere else for my first hunt, somewhere with people I know." They showed me pictures, my apartment building, my mother's house, my sister's workplace. They're going to make me choose, make me decide who I hurt first. And I'll be awake for all of it. This is my punishment for trying to help, for trying to interfere, for thinking I could save someone from a curse that's older than anything I understand. I was wrong. You can't save everyone. Sometimes the monsters win. And sometimes the people trying to be heroes become monsters themselves. I'm sorry, Thomas. I'm sorry to everyone who's going to hear this story. But mostly, I'm sorry to Mateo. I understand now why he fights so hard, why he'd rather die than transform again. Because this thing inside me, it's not just hungry, it's me. The worst parts of me, the anger, the fear, the violence I've always kept buried. And now it's free, and I can't stop it. The moon is rising, I can feel it. The beast is... Recording ends abruptly. This is Tomas Rivera. If you're hearing this, you've listened to David Chen's complete testimony, everything he sent me before he disappeared. It's been 4 weeks since that last recording. David hasn't been found. His apartment was abandoned, door wide open, all his possessions left behind. Police ruled it a voluntary disappearance. Said he'd probably had a breakdown, but I know better. Because 3 days after I published David's story on my blog, I found something on my doorstep, a photograph. It showed a young man, Asian, late 20s, standing in a village square. In the background, 3 women. All 4 of them were looking directly at the camera. On the back, written in careful script, "He tried to help. Now he's ours. Would you like to join him?" I burned the photograph, deleted David's email, tried to forget. But at night I hear it. Slow scratching sounds against my bedroom wall. 3 scrapes. Pause. 3 more scrapes. They're watching me now, too. Waiting to see what I'll do, if I'll make the same mistake David made, the same mistake Mateo's priest made, trying to help, trying to save someone who's already lost. I won't make that mistake. I'm telling you this story once, sharing David's testimony once. Then I'm done. I'm not researching the witches, not looking for Mateo, not trying to break any curses, because I've learned what David learned too late. Some stories are warnings. Some curses can't be broken, and some monsters are fighting so hard to stay human that the worst thing you can do is give them hope. Hope gets people killed. Hope made David think he could save Mateo. Hope made Mateo think he could have a normal life. Hope is what the witches feed on. The moment when someone believes they can escape, and then they crush that hope and feed on the despair that follows. So I'm not hoping, I'm just warning you. If you ever find yourself in a small village in Oaxaca and you meet a man with prematurely gray hair and eyes that have seen too much and he starts to tell you his story, walk away. Don't listen, don't try to help, just leave, because the witches are always watching, always listening, always waiting for someone foolish enough to care. And once you care, you're part of the curse, forever. This is Tomas Rivera signing off. And if you're smart, you'll forget everything you just heard, because the alternative, sound of glass breaking. Voices in the background, 3 of them, speaking in unison. "Hello, Thomas. We've been waiting for you to finish." Sound of struggle, something heavy hitting the floor. "You told our story so well. Every detail, every warning, every truth." Footsteps approaching. "Now you get to live it." Screaming, cut off abruptly. 3 women laughing. Silence. Then very faintly, 3 scrapes, pause. 3 more scrapes. The recording ends. Final note, posted to Tomas Rivera's blog 1 month later by Anonymous. To anyone reading this, Tomas Rivera has been missing for 31 days. His apartment was found abandoned. Police investigation ongoing. Before he disappeared, he uploaded this recording. I'm his colleague. I found it in his drafts folder and decided to publish it as he clearly intended. I don't know if any of this is real. I don't know if Mateo Velasco exists. I don't know if David Chen was taken by witches or simply had a mental breakdown. What I do know, Thomas was terrified in his final weeks. He told me he was being watched, that he heard sounds in his walls, that something was coming for him. I told him to see a doctor, get help. He refused. Said doctors couldn't help with this. I thought he was paranoid, stressed. Now he's gone. And this morning I found something on my desk at work. A photograph. Old. Faded. It shows Thomas standing in what looks like a stone room. 3 women behind him. He's looking directly at the camera, and he's not alone anymore. His eyes are red like an animal's. On the back of the photo, he knows now. Do you want to know too? I'm publishing this recording as Tomas intended. Then I'm quitting this job, leaving this city, changing my name. I don't want to know. I don't want to help. I just want to survive. If you're smart, you'll want the same. Forget this story, forget these names, forget everything you just heard, because the witches are real, the curse is real, and they're always looking for new victims. Don't be next.